Привет всем, с вами я, Jenny, и это College Russian. Welcome to today's live stream. I hope you are in a springtime mood because this song is about Vesna. It's about springtime. And I remember when I lived in Russia, they would start playing it on the radio all the time, pretty much nonstop in the spring. So this is a very springtimey song. I love it. It's very catchy. In fact, I wanted to play it on my phone, but I'll leave the links below. It's like a super, super catchy song. Let me see if I can pull it up here. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, definitely go over to YouTube. It's seriously, it's an adorable song. So of course I won't be able to monetize this video because Здравствуйте, Габриош. Вкусное. Какое вкусное имя. So I probably won't be able to monetize the video because it'll get copyrighted, but it's just seriously, it's so catchy. Even my kids love this song. So we're going to listen to it just a little bit. I'll see if I can play it a little bit. Let's see. So yeah, like again, this little beat. My kids love it. Make sure to let me know if the audio is okay. So this is just almost kind of like a little fun little reggae beat. My kids always sing it, and they know the word Понимаешь. They have no idea what they're saying. Again, this song, it's so addicting. I love it. And every time I play it for students, they all love it. Привет, Mr. Torfable. Привет всем. So this is our song we're doing today. I'll pause it there 1 second. So again, let me know if the audio is okay because I know I've had some problems in the past. So just let me know if there's an echo or what's happening. Okay, so let's talk about today's song. Like I said, this is usually when I play songs for my students in my classes, this is almost like always their most favorite, and everybody walks around singing it after the class period. So this is why music is so great to use for learning a language because it gets stuck in your head. And guess what? All of those new words and all of that new grammar also gets stuck in your head. And that's good. We want that. We want things to get stuck in your head. So let's talk about this song. So it's called Понимаешь, which means you understand or like understand. And it comes from, this came out probably in like 2002, maybe 2001. And it comes from this TV show called Фабрика, звёзд. So it means like Star Factory. And it was kind of a mix between like American Idol and like a Big Brother, where like all of these musicians would live together in one house, and then they would have kind of musical numbers that they had to work on. The difference between this and American Idol is that they wrote songs that then would later go and be played on the radio. And so, yeah, we didn't really do that with American Idol. So many famous songs came from this TV show, and this is one of them. And also famous artists, if you know Polina Gagarina, she started out on this TV show. And then this guy, Pavel Artemov or something, he had a band named Korny, and that was very popular in the early 2000s as well. So anybody who was in Russia around the early 2000s, I guarantee you were hearing this song. And let me know if you have some nostalgia for this song as well. So just a reminder, I want to remind everybody that I do have a Patreon page now. The benefits won't start until June just because I haven't been advertising it very much. But I do have a Patreon page, and we'll come back to the various like perks that you get for being a member. We'll talk about it here in just a minute. I'm really excited about it. But let's go ahead and get started. As you know, the drill on these songs, what we do is I'll first pronounce the words, and I want to give you the opportunity to translate it in your head. See how much of this you can understand on your own. The other thing that I usually am having my students do in class is I'm having you look for verb conjugations. If by the end of this video, you don't know how to say you understand, I really don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of hope for you. I promise you're going to know how to say the word understand by the end of this video. So all throughout this song, be looking for present tense verbs, especially the ty conjugation. You're going to see a lot of that. And also be looking for past tense. Past tense is the easiest thing in Russian. It is the absolute easiest thing. And it's really fun because we have a duet between a boy and a girl. And the girl's going to use one ending on her past tenses, la, and the boy's going to have his masculine ending on his past tenses, which is just an L, okay? So here we go. Let's start reading the lyrics, and then you start anticipating how you would translate these lyrics. And by the way, this song, the word order is crazy. So without somebody kind of helping you know what goes where, some of the lines from this song are going to be pretty confusing. So here we go. So it starts out. Понимаешь, я ушел тогда назло. Понимаешь, не... Oh, that's a typo. That should be не. Не нашел тогда я слов. Okay, so we're going to see this word again and again all throughout this song. Понимаешь. In fact, one of my favorite semesters in college, my students loved this song. All throughout the semester, they would get really excited anytime they could figure out a verb that fit this rhythm, and then they would sing it. Like, for example, they'd be like, принимаешь or помогаешь, like just super, and they would sing it all semester. That was one of my favorite group of students. Привет, Yakov. Привет, Anton. You guys know who you are. You were my favorites. So, okay, so понимаешь, я ушел тогда назло. If we're looking at this past tense here, we can start to predict, is this the boy speaking or the girl? Does that look like a typical masculine ending or a typical feminine ending for a past tense? Let's think about it, okay? Here we go. So here comes the English translation. So you understand, like you got to understand. Привет, Kerem. Наверное, вы из Турции? Are you from Turkey? That looks like a Turkish name to me. Let me know where you're saying hello from. Скажите, пожалуйста, привет всем из Мэриленда, из американского штата Мэриленда. Здесь ужасная погода. Откуда вы все? И скажите, как у вас погода сегодня? Okay, so he says, you understand, I left. So this is the boy speaking. Я ушел тогда назло. Назло means like out of anger or to spite someone. So we've seen this word before, zloi, zlo, meaning anger. So I left out of spite. Понимаешь, and this, again, this is a typo. It should be не. Не нашел тогда я слов. So I couldn't find the words then. And so let's look at the grammar here, because that's a little strange that got genitive case. I'm going to explain that to you in just a second. So, я ушел. So this is, and we're going to have our grammar moment for today's video is going to be about these prefixed verbs of motion. Пришел, прийти, выйти, пройти, etc. We'll take a moment and just discuss some grammar there. So, я ушел, it is a perfective, and it is the masculine past tense of the verb уйти. Okay? Also here, понимать is the ты conjugation, the informal you of the verb понимать. You probably have learned this word very early on in your Russian speaking. Я не понимаю по-русски. Ой, извините, я плохо понимаю. Добрый вечер, Тюрин Алексей. Откуда вы приветствуете? Мне интересно. Скажите, где вы сейчас находитесь? Это нам всем интересно. Привет всем. Как погода? У вас наступила весна или нет? У нас сегодня очень холодная погода, как будто еще не наступала весна. Вот, это ужас. Так, окей, очень хорошо. So, понимаешь, я понимаю. From Kharkiv in Ukraine. Здравствуйте. Очень приятно вас видеть. I hope I get I have some announcements for my Russians who watch my channel to learn English. So that should be, у вас солнечная погода, я очень завидую. Вот, він каже, привіт з Харкова. В нас погода сонячна, але ще досить прохолодна. Так, у нас теж не дуже добра погода зараз. Okay, so понимаешь, я ушел так на зло. Then we go again. You're gonna see. I'm gonna even just stop translating this word because oh my gosh, you're gonna hear it probably like 20 times. Не нашел. So look at this pattern here. Уйти and then найти. These are prefixed verbs of motion in the perfective. In the perfective. Ooh, с Кубани, круто. We've got some people coming in from Ukraine, from Kuban, which is a very interesting region of Russia that you should definitely look up. They have a very unique culture. Не нашел тогда я слов. So I couldn't find the words. Again, we're getting the masculine past tense. And then here, this is really interesting that we're getting a genitive plural. The original of this was a neuter, slova, right? And then there are no words. I couldn't find words. In Russian, we will often get genitive case when we're really negating something, right? When you really want to emphasize that there was, привет из Лондона, привет, Эшби, очень приятно, что вы пришли. Вот, у нас много интересных людей сегодня. Так, so we're really emphasizing that he couldn't find words. He didn't know the right words in that moment. So he just left, right? Ugh, geez, not very mature. Хорошо, let's read the next line. Ты не знаешь, просто нам не повезло. Было может, но прошло. Oh, we've got a really interesting phrase in here. Нам не повезло. This is another one that you need probably somebody to explain to you. It's hard to kind of figure out on your own. So take a minute, start thinking, okay, how much of these sentences can I translate? Для людей, которые сейчас учат английский, также старайтесь, как предсказывать, как будет перевод. Да, то есть, конечно, перевод будет некрасивым сначала, но потом я все как переведу более красиво. So, here we go. Here comes the translation. You don't know. It's just that we were unlucky. Isn't that the weirdest phrase? Like if you look at this literally, it makes zero sense. And then было может, но прошло. So было может is a little bit more slangy. More correct would be something like могло бы быть. Могло бы быть, but this is another more slangy way of saying it. Okay, so that's how I translate it. You don't know. It's just that we were unlucky. And it could have been, but it's gone now. It passed. Yeah, just us not lucky. We were unlucky. We were unlucky. Yeah, or we could say we had bad luck. We just had bad luck. Like the timing was bad. We had bad luck. And then I would translate прошло as it's over now. In fact, you guys know that song by what's her name? Roxette or something. Must have been love, but it's over now. That's like, no прошло. It's over now, but it's over now. It passed. Okay, so let's take apart the grammar. This grammar right here is really weird. So there's, again, I told you by the end of this song, you are going to know the ты conjugation of Russian verbs. You are going to know it for sure. So ты не знаешь, you don't know. Просто, it's just that. Нам не повезло. If you were to look at this literally, it would be like, it wasn't transported to us, right? Like that's what that literally means. But in like colloquially, it means you were unlucky. And then you could say this like, oh, тебе повезло с девушкой. Like, oh, you got lucky with your girlfriend. Like she's hot, she's pretty. Тебе повезло с... Спасибо, Николай. Он говорит, я смотрел много ваших видеороликов и хочу сказать, вы прекрасно говорите на русском. Спасибо большое. Это очень приятно слышать. Большое вам спасибо за такой комплимент, потому что у меня всегда идет кризис самоуверенности, да, то есть я всегда сомневаюсь, хорошо ли я говорю по-русски или нет. Так, вот, очень хорошо. So, let's look at the grammar. Нам не повезло, we're getting dative, and it's just because this is the way you say this sentence. Повезти, we're getting the оно conjugation. Again, it literally means to transport something, but in this particular phrase, it means to be unlucky. We have быть in the past tense neuter, and then we have может, which comes from the verb мочь, like может быть, maybe. And then again, we have one of these prefixed verbs of motion, which we're going to talk about here more in just a second. I'll show you how all of them conjugate and give you a couple more ideas. So anyway, so great. So let's now go to the next words. I'm trying to show some of your commentary on the screen because everybody's being so nice to me today. Спасибо большое. Вот мне нужны комплименты. Я очень ценю ваши комплименты сегодня. Так, очень хорошо. Okay, next line. There's that word again. Понимаешь. Oh, look, who's singing now? Ты ушел, а я ждала. Look at these past tenses. Ты ушел, а я ждала. Понимаешь, я родителям врала. Okay, so look at these past tenses. Let's start to anticipate the translation. Okay, here comes the translation. Here we go. Start anticipating. Да, носители русского, пожалуйста, начните думать, как это переведется, будет интересно. Я думаю, что я бы перевел вот таким образом. Давайте посмотрим, как она переведет. Будет интересно. Хорошо. Вот мой перевод. Конечно, это некрасиво сейчас. So I'm showing the literal translation of each word, but we'll come up with a better translation here in just a second. So look at this. Now it's the girl speaking. That's why we're seeing la endings on her past tense. So she's saying ты ушел. She's talking to the boy, and that's why she uses the masculine past tense. А я ждала. And then she uses a feminine past tense. So you left, and I waited. Понимаешь? See, I'm not even translating this anymore because зачем? Я родителям врала. I lied to my parents. This word order, this syntax is very confusing for English speakers because syntax is very important in English, but in Russian, syntax doesn't matter. And that's why Russian is so much more beautiful for poetry and music, etc. So let's go ahead and see the grammar breakdown. So there's that verb again. That's that prefixed verb of motion, уйти, and this is the on conjugation for past tense. And this comes from the verb ждать, to wait for. You do not need to add in a для. A lot of times English speakers say like, я жду для автобуса. Nope, you don't need to say. You need to say, я жду автобус, или я жду автобуса, depending on what you want to say. So you do not need to use a for in there. Next is я родителям врала. This comes from the verb врать, meaning to lie, and you lie to someone, which is why you're getting dative case. This is dative plural, родителям врала. Так, next, she says, ты не знаешь. Again, we've seen that phrase before. Ты ушел, и жизнь ушла. Но весна меня спасла. Let's start anticipating the translation. So here's that phrase again. Ты ушел, и жизнь ушла. Как интересно, почему здесь форма она? Why is that a feminine? Let's see if somebody can answer in the comments. Why are we getting a feminine past tense conjugation? That's interesting. Why would we be getting a feminine here? And then she says, но весна меня спасла. Okay, so let's go over the translation there. So you don't know. You left and life left. But spring, again, the word order is crazy here, but spring saved me, but the spring saved me. And for those of you who have lived in a cold climate, you can understand this feeling like when spring finally comes, you're like, oh, thank you. I can survive. I can live, right? Especially in Russia where the winters are very brutal. Хорошо. Вот, so let's look at this grammar. There we go again. Ты ушел, masculine past tense of уйти. And then there's the feminine of уйти. Why? Anybody know? Because жизнь is a feminine. Жизнь is feminine. And so we have to, when we say life left, we have to use the feminine past tense conjugation. Но весна меня спасла. So весна is a feminine, and that's why we got spasla, spasla as our past tense feminine conjugation because весна. And then also меня spasla. So it saved me. We're getting an accusative case there. Да, life goes on. Конечно. Вы знаете песню Beatles? Называется «Облади, облада, life goes on, бра». Вот, это очень хорошая фраза. Да? Наверное, жизнь продолжается по-русски, может быть. Так, очень хорошо. Следующий. Okay, so by the way, spasti is the perfective. For those of you that know that more advanced grammar, spasti is perfective, the one-time result verb, and then spasать is the imperfective. Okay, хорошо. So, real quick grammar moment. In Russian, as you know, verbs of motion are horrible. They are cruel. They are just one of the most difficult parts of Russian. However, when you prefix these verbs of motion, they get a lot easier. They just become perfective and imperfective, and they're very expressive. So in this song, we're going to hear a lot of different prefixed verbs of motion. So we're going to hear the phrase пойдем, which means we will go. We will go. And these are all in the perfective. So that's why the second we conjugate them, they become future. And then in past tense, they look like this. Пошел, пошла, пошло, пошли. We've been seeing these two forms. Ушел, ушла, ушел, ушла, ушло, ушли. Then найти, which means to find, to find. Найду, which means I will find. And then we go past tense. Я нашел, нашла, нашло, нашли. Пройти. So we just saw the phrase прошло, meaning it passed. And this can be literally, you passed by something, or it can mean the time has passed, like it's no longer in existence kind of thing. So прошел, прошла, прошло, прошли. So you might say something like, for example, сегодня последний день семестра в университете. Можно спросить, например, ну как прошел семестр? How did the semester go? How did the semester go? Как прошла твоя неделя? How was your week? How did your week go? Right? So you're literally saying, how did your week pass? But in English, we would say, oh, how did your week go? How did your semester go? Да, вот так. Then we have the prefix при, which is really great. I don't know how to take that off. Let's see, hide. Прийти means to arrive, to come. So приду, I will come. Придешь, you will come. And then past tense. Ой, смотри, кто пришел. Papa пришел. Ура. Look who arrived. Look who's here. Daddy's here. Daddy came home from work. So it's to come somewhere. Then if we put the prefix of вы on there, it means to exit, to go out. So I think eventually we'll do this on конь. Выйду ночью в поле с конем. So like I go out into the field with the horse. With May Day, with День Победы, выходила на берег Катюша, right? So different things like that. You're going to hear a lot of these types of verbs. Okay, more. Now this is the chorus. So, за окном, понимаешь, весна за окном. So we've got a lot of repetition here. И унесет теплый ветер холодный наш сон. Okay, so this line is especially confusing. I dare you to try and translate this line. So here we go. За окном, понимаешь, весна за окном, и унесет теплый ветер холодный наш сон. This is so confusing for English speakers. This is so crazy confusing for English speakers because of the crazy word order. So I think an English speaker would have a hard time understanding what's happening in this sentence. So let's see. So outside the window, spring is outside the window. So, and it will carry away warm wind, cold our dream. That's how that looks if you translate that literally. Anybody want to try to translate this? Anybody want to try to translate this sentence? I have a really ugly, not pretty translation here. How would you translate? И унесет теплый ветер холодный наш сон. Again, for an English speaker, this is very confusing. So, who wants to try? Спасибо, Алексей. Спасибо. Так, это очень мило. Who wants to try and translate this sentence? It's a very confusing sentence if you don't know Russian very well. So here we go. Let's go ahead and... Здравствуйте, ясас. Ясас. Привет из Греции, говорит гречанка бабка. Песня о неком понимании друг друга, о любви, о чувствах. So we've got Николай Смирнов говорит, песня о неком непонимании друг друга, о любви, о чувствах. So the song is about like just not understanding each other, like misunderstanding. And about love and about feelings. О, спасибо, Михаил говорит... Hello, Jane, I'm from Russian. As a Russian person, I really appreciate your pronunciation. Я рада, что это не режет вам уши. Это очень приятно слышать. Спасибо. Так, и, кстати, вот носители русского, вот или жители России, скажите, вот вы помните эту песню? Вы помните эту песню? И скажите, до сих пор играют на радио? Мне интересно, потому что я знаю, что долго-долго играли на радио. Я очень часто слышала вот эту песню. Так, ой, brave student, вы brave, это точно, brave student, вы очень смелый, молодец. I'm studying Russian language and literature at the university, он говорит. Так, so nobody is volunteering to translate this sentence, so I will do it for you. And so you have to change the word order in English to make this make sense. Otherwise, it is complete бред, it's complete nonsense. Понимаешь, Михаил, мы говорим о песне «Понимаешь, я ушел тогда назло, понимаешь». Вы знаете эту песню? Не нашел тогда я слов. Okay, so this is how we're going to translate this. And the warm wind, so the warm wind of spring, is going to carry away our cold dream. So the warm wind is the subject of the sentence, and the наш холодный сон is the thing it's going to carry away. Again, Russian is crazy. This song is very confusing if you don't know Russian. So окно is getting instrumental case because we're saying behind the window, beyond the window. And окно is a neuter, so that's our ending. Spring is outside the window. И унесет, this is a perfective. It's a prefixed verb of motion. They're very handy. And it's the on conjugation, so it turns it into future. So, and the wind will carry away our cold dream. Так, вот. Да, вот поет, it's a duet between a girl and a boy. Это очень, серьезно, очень хорошая песня. Я очень рекомендую. И, кстати, когда мы делаем вечеринки в конце семестра, when we do parties at the end of the semester, мои студенты очень любят петь эту песню в karaoke. So my students love singing this song in karaoke. A girl from the class will sing it, and a boy from the class sing it. И это очень весело. Так, следующий. Okay. И мы пойдем в переулках весны, в небе утреннем звезды видны. Okay, so start anticipating the translation. Here we go. And we will go, or will walk, in the alleyways of spring. In the sky morning, stars are visible. Again, word order is crazy. So you might want to say something like, and we will walk in the alleyways of spring. That sounds normal in English. And in the morning sky, stars are visible. Stars are visible. You can see the stars. So here's the grammar on that. We just saw those prefix verbs of motion, and this makes it into future. Мы пойдем, we will go. Переулок becomes a prepositional plural because you're walking in the alleyways. And then there's a little invisible of here. That's why весна is going into genitive singular. So в переулках весны. В переулках весны. В небе, we're getting a prepositional, and it was originally a neuter. And then утренний is also going to get a prepositional ending as well, because remember, adjectives also get cases as well. Then the original of звёзды was звезда. Notice it's a different verb and different word stress. So звезда, and then we go to звёзды. Так, вот. Алексей спрашивает, мне всегда тяжело быстро понять при переводе с английского слова dream, сон или мечта. Вот это хороший вопрос, хорошая заметка. Мы об этом обязательно поговорим через 2 минуты. Так, so let's talk about the grammar here with specifically these short form adjectives. Short form adjectives, they're really complicated, and trust me, when I have my website up and running, I will have a whole section dedicated to short form adjectives because they're very difficult. But they get masculine, feminine, neuter, and plural forms, and because звёзды is plural, we say видны. Видны. Так. Okay? Много этой весне мы должны, понимаешь? Okay, я скажу вам очень смешную историю. I'm going to tell you a funny story. Probably for 3 years, I could not figure out this line. I could not figure it out. I was like, мы должны много делать, или мы должны... Я никак не могла разобраться в этой фразе. So I'm interested to hear if you know how to translate this. Okay, so literally what's happening is we have a lot this spring. We should. What? So I want to see if somebody can translate this. Серьезно, очень долгое время меня мучала вот эта часть песни. Я никак не могла разобраться в ней. То есть скажите, как вы бы перевели? How would you translate this? Много этой весне мы должны. It's so weird when you look at it. But it's going to have a really interesting meaning that's going to surprise you, I think. So, хорошо. Anybody want to try to translate? Много этой весне мы должны. So weird. Хорошо. Давайте поговорим. Oh, that's a typo. No. Okay, well, all the more reason. I'll tell you what my translation is. So what you're literally saying here is a lot to this spring. We're getting dative. To this spring, we literally means should. Okay, so должны literally means should. Sorry, не обращайте внимания, это опечатка. Не обращайте внимания. Так. Должны can mean should, or it can also mean you owe something. You owe somebody. Например, сколько я вам должна? How much do I owe you? So they're saying like, oh, we owe this spring. We owe it to the spring to try our love again, kind of thing. So that's what they're saying. Много этой весне мы должны. Ой, я долгое время не понимала вот эти слова. Я никак не могла разобраться в грамматике. I could not figure out that grammar for the longest time. Yeah, there you go, Ksenia, спасибо. То есть Ksenia говорит, we owe this spring a lot. So I wouldn't say we owe this spring much. That's not correct English. We'd say we owe a lot to the spring. We owe a lot to this spring. Очень хорошо. Then they say, понимаешь, and then they repeat that again, but we're not going to repeat it. Okay, so now the girl comes in. The girl starts singing. Понимаешь, мне недавно снился сон. Понимаешь, в этом сне был ты и он. Так, okay, so понимаешь, we all know this by now. Please tell me you know this by now. Мне недавно снился сон. Okay, so somebody had a really great comment. Let's show it again. About the difference between мечта and сон. Okay? So, мечта is your hope. You hope that something will happen. So, if we think of Martin Luther King, I have a dream. Он хочет. Это его надежда. That's his hope. That's what he wants. That's his dream. It wasn't that he was sleeping one night and he dreamed of a world without racism. No, it's that he wants that. He hopes for it. So мечта is the thing you hope for, the thing you really want, whereas сон is what happens when you're sleeping. That's what happens when you're sleeping. So, and when you want to say that I had a dream, oh, I had an interesting dream, you say this exact phrase. Мне снился сон. I had a dream. Or you could even tell somebody, if you wanted to tell somebody, I dreamed about you. Ты мне вчера снился. Like I had a dream about you. You came to me in my dream. So that's the difference. Сон can mean either in your sleep, or it can mean like a vision, a dream that you have while you're sleeping. With мечта, there's nothing about sleeping. You do not need to be asleep to have a мечта, right? So сон is when there's sleep, and мечта is when there's hope. Хорошо? So she says, понимаешь, мне недавно снился сон. Понимаешь, в этом сне был ты и он. Okay? So she's telling the boy, she's like, hey, you understand? I had a dream recently. So you're literally saying to me recently, dream to dream. Makes no sense in English. So she's saying, hey, recently I had a dream. And in this dream, notice how son gets a case. Notice how that a vowel disappears. В этом сне, in this dream, you were in this dream, and he was in this dream. В этом сне был ты и он. Now, I'm not sure here. Is she talking about some other guy? I don't know what she's talking about. Why is she suddenly mentioning some other guy? But who knows? Women are crazy. Who knows? So в этом сне был ты и он. So we've got снится. That is the verb for to have a dream. To have a dream in your sleep. Спасибо. Вот, да, вот, молодец. То есть, кажется, Алексей наконец-то разобрался в этих словах. So, мне недавно снился сон. So that's how you say you had a dream. If you wanted to say you had a horrible dream, мне снился страшный сон. Oh, I had a scary dream last night. И плохо спала, потому что мне снился страшный сон. And then в этом сне, in this dream, we've got prepositional happening, and then obviously быть, masculine past tense. And then she says, представляешь, я не знала, что спала, я к тебе во сне пришла, понимаешь. Okay. Oh, this is a great word in Russian. This is a great word. You hear it all the time. You need to know this word if you are learning Russian. So she says, представляешь, я не знала, что спала, я к тебе во сне пришла. Okay, so start anticipating your. I'm interested here. How would you translate представляешь? It kind of translates. There's a literal word, and then there's more of a slang way that we would probably express this in English. So literally, she's saying, imagine, I didn't know that I was sleeping. I to you in dream came. Okay. So again, that's bad English. But that's literally what's happening in the sentence. That's the word order. So now let's put it into good English. Okay. So да, представлять means literally to imagine. Imagine. But in English, if you want to sound more natural, in English, oh, okay. Mikhail говорит, well, some foreigners studying Russian. I'm not studying English as a student of language. I'm studying for a teacher. Значит, вы учитесь на учителя, вы хотите стать учителем английского, да? So I'm studying to become a teacher. I'm studying to become a teacher. Вот. Если вы хотите сказать, что я учусь на учителя, то I'm studying to become a teacher. Вот. So, представляешь, yes. Can you imagine? But it sounds very formal in English. I'm just telling you, that's not the way we speak. We would probably say something like, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? We would, like, can you believe that? Это более аутентично, более подлинно, я бы сказала, что это. Isn't that crazy? Crazy, huh? Crazy, huh? Это очень сленг, но это более подлинно, вот, более автентично. То есть, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Can you believe that? Right? So even though it literally means, oi, tudo bem? Eu não sei se você sabe, mas meu marido é brasileiro. E para isso eu falo muito no português com minha sogra. Todos os dias, na verdade. Tá? У нас есть гость из Бразилии. Так, oi, tudo bem? Anyway, so представляешь literally means imagine, but more authentic English is to be like, isn't that crazy? Can you believe that? Right? We don't really say imagine when we want to tell somebody something interesting. We don't really talk like that. So Ele fala, or he's saying, "Olá, que ótimo. That's great that you speak Portuguese." Yeah, so I was telling him in Portuguese, I speak Portuguese all day with my mother-in-law because my husband is Brazilian. So, представляешь, я не знала, что спала, я к тебе во сне пришла. I came to you in my dream. I came to you in my dream. Do you understand? Here's the grammar. The original is представлять. We've got, that's the imperfective. Я не знала, super easy, that's a feminine past tense. Spать, spala, feminine past tense. Then we're getting dative because you come to somebody. If you're going to a person, you use к plus dative case. When you're going to a place, you use v or na plus accusative case. Then again, look what happens to this interesting phrase, in sleep, in my sleep, во сне. This is the same way you would say, like, tell somebody, oh, you were talking in your sleep. Ты говорила во сне. You were talking in your sleep. You were talking in your sleep. But it could also mean in a dream. You were talking, or you were in a dream. So it can mean either in sleep or it can mean in a dream. Пришла, there's one of our prefix verbs of motion. By the way, that's going to be one of the perks for membership on my Patreon, is little grammar tidbits from these songs plus the translation that will be accessible to anybody who is supporting me on Patreon. I'll tell you more about that at the end of the stream. So, понимаешь? Okay, so now the boy's talking to her. He's like, понимаешь, вот такой я был дурак. Понимаешь, верил я, что все не так. Okay, so he's saying, this is a great phrase. Oh, вот такой дурак, вот такой я был дурак. I was such an idiot. Ugh, I'm such an idiot. I was such a fool. Дурак, that was one of my first words I learned in Russian. Ну вот дурак, like, ugh. No, that there is an idiot, right? So, and then he says верил, so that's past tense masculine. I believed, верил я, notice the crazy word order, only possible in Russian. It's only possible in Russian. Что все не так. That everything wasn't quite, like, I didn't know that that was the case. I didn't know that's how it was. I didn't know, I believed that everything wasn't like that. That's why, again, this whole song, somebody made the comment, this song is about a misunderstanding between this couple. Вот. Сначала, окей, Михаил спрашивает. Заниматься переводом, но ничего, порабатывать частным репетитором, можно хорошо зарабатывать. Вот, мне очень нравится, когда люди, которые не носители языка, учат вот этот язык или преподают вот этот язык другим учащимся, потому что я верю, что когда это не наш родной язык, мы лучше понимаем трудную грамматику, потому что мы тоже когда-то изучали эту грамматику. So I'm telling Mikhail, I think it's great when teachers teach a language that is not their native language because they understand the pain, right? They understand all of the difficulties of grammar. And that's why I think I am a better teacher of Russian than I am of English, because with English, I don't know. That's how I say it. I don't know why I say it that way. But with Russian, oh, I remember what it felt like to not understand anything. So I understand your pain. Так, okay? So next line is понимаю, ты пришла ко мне из сна, ты прости меня весна. Oh, there's another typo there. I keep having all these typos. Actually, I wonder if there's an extra slide. Oh, that's why. Anyway, so there's some typos there. So now we're seeing понимаю. We've seen понимаешь the whole song, and now we're seeing понимаю, which means I understand. Я понимаю, ты понимаешь, он понимает, мы понимаем, вы понимаете, они понимают. And then he says, ты пришла. There's another one, again, just don't pay attention, не обращайте внимания на этот перевод. You came to me, ко мне, that's the dative, из сна, from your dream. Like you came out of your dream and now you came to me in real life. And then he says, ты прости меня, весна. Oh, forgive me, spring. Forgive me, spring. Let's try this again. Let's do this again this spring. We owe a lot to this spring. We owe it to this spring to try again. So now I want to tell you a little bit. That's all for the song, and then it repeats a whole bunch of times. Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to show you a little bit about my new Patreon membership and расскажите вам немного о моей новой мечте. Мечта, не сон, мечта. So I have started a Patreon page. I'll leave the link below. And what I'm hoping to create, я сейчас объясню это по-английски, потом по-русски. So I'm hoping to create a international classroom where we all help each other with either English or Russian. As you can see from today's live stream, both we have people who are learning Russian and we have people who are learning English. And I think, wouldn't the world be a better place if we all helped each other and if we all spoke to each other in that person's language? So I'm hoping to create, starting in June, a Russian English language club. Once a week, we will have a conversation club. We'll have specific topics. The first half an hour, we will practice talking in English. And then the second half an hour, we will practice talking in Russian. And I'm hoping that the Russians will stay and help all of us who are trying to learn Russian. They'll help us, and then we'll help them learn English. And again, that's kind of creating this virtual global classroom. So the other perks that come with that are, if you're somebody who's learning English, I will post a vlog about my life in English. Also, you can email me and message me at any time for help with English. Would you translate words? Can you explain this grammar to me? I'm translating this for my work. Can you tell me if this is correct English? И так далее. То есть, да, у нас будет разговорный клуб, на котором, это моя мечта, чтобы мы все помогали друг другу. И вот носители английского, которые сейчас учат русский, они могут вам помогать. И наоборот, носители русского, которые хотят учить английский, вы можете учиться у нас, например, английскому. То есть я хочу создать вот такую виртуальную аудиторию, где мы все помогаем друг другу. Вот. Кстати, в добавку, если у вас есть вот такой membership, членство, вы можете в любой момент написать мне с вопросами или с вопросами о переводах, о грамматике, о правильных словах и так далее. Кстати, и еще вот на этом этапе будет еще одно видео, где я говорю на медленном английском о моей жизни. Многие русские зрители, они часто просят, чтобы я делала больше видео на английском. Проблема в том, что мой канал называется College Russian. Это совсем другой канал. Но, с другой стороны, поскольку я очень благодарна вам всем за то, что вы так с большой любовью поддерживаете меня, я хочу вот создавать вот такой разговорный клуб, где мы все можем помогать вам изучать английский, учиться английскому. Так, so let me answer another question from Paulo. Could you by any chance recommend an exercise book, the likes of Khavroninas, but more updated for learners of Russian? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that textbook. I'm actually creating one, Paulo. So it depends on your level. If you want to email me at collegerussian.com, I might have some good materials. Everything depends on your level. I don't know what your level is. So maybe write me an email about, what your level is, and I can recommend what textbook would be good for your particular level, because there's so many textbooks. So let's see. Гречанка бабка говорит, хорошая идея, да, вот этот разговорный клуб, да, будет здорово, особенно в эти времена войны и столько непонимания между нами. Я думаю, что вот хорошо, давайте создадим мира вместе в нашей аудитории. Мы можем понимать друг друга, мы можем говорить друг с другом, и пусть наши политики ругаются друг с другом, но мы будем создавать мир. Так, хорошо. Привет, Серж, вы сильно опоздали, уже конец стрима. Вот. And then Mikhail asks, are you going to do a live stream like you did summer of 2022? If you want me to, особенно если у меня есть много учеников английского, потому что я думаю, вам было интересно, как говорят мои дети. Правда, было интересно познакомиться с моими детьми. А я также планирую лайвстрим из очень интересного места через 2 недели, 2 или 3 недели. И да, если, как вы видите, на этом уровне в Patreon вы можете попросить тему, вы можете попросить, чтобы я сделала видео по такой теме, или чтобы я сделала лайвстрим по такой теме, или в таком формате, например. Вот, еще вот Игорь говорит, загогулина, я не знаю, что это такое. Получается, понимаешь, вот такая, понимаешь, загогулина. Я надеюсь, что я сейчас не говорю мат, потому что я вообще не знаю, что это такое слово. Загогулина. Фраза, историческая фраза. Так, очень хорошо. Вот, again, Paulo, email me at collegerussian.com. I'll try and give you a little bit more information. И, Paulo, it depends too. Are you in Brazil or are you in the United States? And because I know the Brazilian Amazon doesn't have as good of choices. Давно не попадал на твой лайвстрим. Рада. Серж, обычно вы у меня такой верный зритель. Куда вы пропали? Я надеюсь, что все у вас хорошо. Да, давно вас не видела. Когда Стар-клуб? Июнь. Да, все начинается в июне. Но вот, это все с таким членством в Патреоне, когда у меня есть достаточно, как сказать, участниц, или патронов, мы говорим, but that means like bullets or something. So when I have enough people on Patreon, then we can start the conversation club. As of right now, I only have 2 people, so I need probably 8 to start the conversation club. Look at this. Somebody says they would want to talk to my kids. Ой, у меня сын балакуча. Вот он никогда не закрывает рот. Вам будет интересно с ним, говорит. Так, спасибо, Исла, твой русский крутой. Спасибо за комплимент. Хотелось бы послушать от вас темы экономики, юрист. О, какие хорошие идеи. И когда у нас будет вот этот разговорный клуб, каждая неделя у нас будет определенная тема, и я пришлю вам в начале недели важные или нужные слова, чтобы вы могли бы как подготовиться к разговору и чувствовать себя готовым участвовать в беседе. Так, это squiggle of the Russian language. Okay. Хорошо, загогулина. Интересно. Хорошо, я посмотрю в словаре. Приветик, Harry S. Откуда вы сейчас приветствуете? Мне интересно, где вы сейчас находитесь? Где будет? Вы имеете в виду разговорный клуб? Это все будет онлайн, конечно, вот через Zoom. И да, будет интересно. И я думаю, я буду записывать все эти беседы, чтобы люди потом, если они не успели на клуб в этот день, они могли бы видеть потом в Патреоне. То есть, да, я думаю, что это будет интересно. Да, я просто очень... Harry S. англичанин. Он англичанин. У нас еще была англичанка. Понимаешь слово... вот, okay, so this is an interesting concept. I want to explain this to people who are learning Russian. Паразит. When somebody says слово паразит, it means a word that a person says too much. It sneaks into their speech and they say it too much. So he's saying that «понимаешь» was a слово паразит президента Ельцина. So this was President Yeltsin, Boris Yeltsin's, a word that he would just say, probably when he was nervous or drunk. He would say it all the time and he would sound very uneducated. So I remember when I was studying Ukrainian, they told me that my паразит was the word вот. I was always saying вот, which is not authentic Ukrainian. So слово паразит, again, a word too much that sneaks too much into your speech and makes you sound not very educated or eloquent. So anyway, so I will leave the link below for my Patreon account. Я очень надеюсь, что мы можем создать вот эту группу. Я уверена, что будет круто. Потом, идеально, в моей мечте, in my dream, I'm Englishman in New York. Есть классная песня Стинга. Salam. Salam. I have so many viewers from Turkey. I really should learn some Turkish phrases. I know güzel. That's the only Turkish word I know. Есть классная песня Stinga. Okay, so are you saying you would want to request a song? Because that's another thing we can do is I can take an English song and explain it to Russian learners. So, так. Anyway, so the Patreon benefits will begin in June. Go over to the website, check it out. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff that I think it's going to... I'm hoping that I can connect people. You know, my students can maybe find a Russian-speaking partner and they can all work together. So, хорошо, это все. Спасибо вам всем. Ой, вы так хорошо участвовали сегодня в чате. Мне было очень приятно читать ваши комментарии. Спасибо еще раз за поддержку, за ваши добрые слова и за то, что вы есть. Это просто супер. Хорошо, увидимся на следующей неделе. Это все. До свидания. Целую.